Hello, and thank you for tuning into our grant proposal via video. After extensively researching homelessness in Oregon and Lane County, we realized that it is not only an issue that has been getting worse over the past decade, but is something that deserves more attention and funding. Through our research, we were inspired by a couple small group organizations that work specifically with homeless youth in the area. This grant would be used to help fight youth homelessness, while also taking a different approach as to how. This presentation will outline the issue we are addressing, the organization we are starting and need funded, our goals with this grant, the plan we have in place for this organization, how we will evaluate our success, and the budget breakdown. We believe that youth experiencing homelessness is an area that needs more attention. So many great organizations that exist today are not focused on youth homelessness, but we believe that by focusing on the youth, we would see numbers start to fall. By keeping kids off the streets and in school, the adult homeless population should decrease. There are several reasons why people end up on the streets: drugs, mental illness, poor life choices, or circumstances growing up that gave them no chance. Homelessness has been on the rise in states such as Oregon, and areas like Eugene and Portland specifically have a concerning number of homeless people. It is very rare to walk or drive anywhere in these areas without passing by a homeless person, and it seems difficult to find a solution that takes these individuals off the streets permanently. In 2017, it was determined by city officials that the lack of affordable housing here in Oregon is the leading cause of homelessness of unaccompanied individuals. Unaccompanied individuals include youth experiencing homelessness. When individuals experience, or especially youth, have something happen in their lives and they have nowhere to go or no one to fall back on, they often end up on the streets, and most of the time, they remain there. Portland State University does a study every year on homelessness called Point in Time, looking at the number of homeless people in Multnomah County and how it compares to the past. In February of 2017, their study revealed a total of 4,177 people experiencing homelessness in a night in Portland. As reported, this statistic is almost 10% higher than in 2015. Stats have been showing that once a youth spends over 14 nights on the street, they're 80 to 85% more likely to become chronically homeless. One interesting statistic found by the Oregon Department of Human Services Homeless Youth Advisory Committee through a study in 2016 is the cost difference of a homeless youth in the criminal justice system versus moving a homeless youth off the streets. The average annual cost of them being in the criminal justice system is just over $53,000, while it is just over $5,000 to get them off the streets and into housing. Oftentimes, youth battling homelessness and uncertainty will end up in the criminal justice system. Not only is this expensive for the government, but it becomes much more difficult for individuals to find work without a clean record. By focusing our efforts in taking care of youth and young adults now, it will be more cost efficient, and there will hopefully be a decline in the statistics in the future. With this grant, we would start an organization for students that need somewhere to go after school. It would operate as a place where kids could hang out, get their homework done, get some food, and hang out with other kids. To address the issue of homelessness, our vision for the organization is that within this building there'd be a place set up where kids could sleep that need a place for the night, or even a couple nights. The idea would be that these kids would work for the organization if they needed a place to stay. They could help out with cleaning or something, and then spend the night. We would have a team of people on staff to meet both the mental and emotional needs of the kids coming into the organization and spending the night, while also meeting their physical needs. Making sure the kids are showering, have access to toiletries, and trying to find a sustainable housing solution for them. Our goals for this grant are to help the youth and families of youth with jumping back into stability during a rough period. We plan to help them by giving them a safe place to stay the night and lay their heads, provide toiletry necessities, and help with schooling and job searches. A side goal for us is to decrease the overall homeless population. By targeting youth, we are essentially dealing with the transitional homeless individuals. Transitional homeless individuals have a short period where they are homeless, usually, and they account for the majority of the homeless population. By helping transitional, we will be aiding the highest population of homeless and hopefully prevent a further increase of chronic and episodic homelessness. Episodic and chronic homelessness are those who have been in and out of shelters and suffer from mental and or physical difficulties. The difference between the two is that episodic can eventually return to the societal normal life, while chronic suffer from severe issues and are unlikely to make the transition back. Helping transitional youth should decrease the overall population of homelessness dramatically if we are persistent in our efforts. The goal is to help the youth learn to be self-sufficient and live a stable life. The action plan is simple. If we are given this grant, we will be helping homeless youth return to a more stable lifestyle. We will begin by giving them a safe place to stay and necessarily toiletries. After they are comfortable, we will start aiding in schooling by supplying resources and supplies. We will also help them find job opportunities with the older youth. The goal is to make them return to stable and self-sufficient life. If we are able to efficiently execute our action plan, we should see many individuals succeed. Tracking the impact of our proposal will be done short and long term. The short-term goals will be day-to-day focused on the individuals. We will track their progress by maintaining relationships with them, learning about what resources of ours they are using and how else we can help them. If we are attentive to each individual, we should see them return to stable life. In the long term, we will see if we are decreasing the overall population of homelessness in our area. If we see a decrease, then we know we have aided in some way. We also hope to not let any transitional homeless convert to episodic or chronic homelessness. We should eventually see a decrease in these populations over time as well. We will see results from getting people back on their feet and the overall decrease of homeless individuals in our area. The majority of the money would have to go to leasing a building and making the inside a functional living space that people could cook, sleep, and live in. A clear number isn't set on how much of this will actually cost, but it will be the majority of money received, as mentioned before. Another portion of the money will need to go towards washer and dryers. If 3 washers and 3 dryers of a decent quality are purchased, it will cost around $2,000. The first thing that would need to be addressed after possession of the building has been established would be essentials such as bedding as the toilets and sinks will already be installed. The cost of a single bed frame and mattress would be around $100. This would include sheets and bedding. If 50 beds are purchased, then this cost would be around $5,000. The next thing the money would go towards is the furniture to make this a desirable place to stay. Chairs, games, and tables, for example. The amount that should be set aside for this is around $10,000. The final thing that we would need to make this operation functional financially would be to hire a full-time staff to do the office work, answer the phones, and connect students as need be. Employing staff would require a decent amount of the funding as it would be considered a full-time job, and around $100,000 would be set aside to do so. The last thing that would need to be done in hopes of raising money would be to reach out to local organizations, the Chamber of Commerce, and local churches to see if they can aid in the funding and/or volunteer with us. Breakdown of the budget would be around $100,000 for the lease, $2,000 for the washers and dryers, $5,000 for the bedding, $10,000 for the furniture, $100,000 for employing staff, which brings us to a total of $217,000 of the $250,000 spent. This leaves us $33,000 left to keep the shelter running in case of emergencies and use it for insurance. Homelessness is an issue that affects everyone. People that have to live without a mattress, let alone their own bed, kitchen, or even bathroom, is something that no one deserves. America has around 550,000 homeless people who have to deal with this problem, and it seems to be impossible to solve. A common misconception with the homeless population is that it doesn't cost the government any money, so why would the government put any money back into them? Well, this is far from the truth, as mentioned earlier. The average annual cost of a homeless person being in the criminal justice system is just over $53,000, while it is just over $5,000 to get them off the streets and into housing. So rather than ignoring the problem, we could use this money to end homelessness locally that would hopefully create a push towards a stoppage of homelessness nationally. Finland used the same model that we have proposed, and they are the only country to date that has been able to decrease the amount of people on the streets. Furthermore, the model that we are proposing has been proven to work. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day.